Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're embarking on, well, quite an extraordinary intellectual journey. We're winding back over 2 millennia. Not for some dry history lesson, though.
Not at all.
No, we're looking to unlock a kind of powerful operating manual for life, one forged in ancient Greece, but, and this is the fascinating part, it feels startlingly relevant for navigating, the chaos and complexities of our modern world.
It really does. It's quite striking.
Right. So, in a time that seems to demand quick fixes, superficial successes, can wisdom from 2,000 years ago really offer a timeless blueprint for a life well lived? That's the big question we're tackling. We're taking a deep dive into some really illuminating excerpts from Aristotle's Guide to Flourishing Today. And our mission, for you listening, is to extract the most potent nuggets of knowledge from Aristotle's core ideas. We want to understand precisely how they can fundamentally reshape your approach to daily life.
Guiding you towards something more meaningful, balanced, virtuous even.
Exactly. It's about finding shortcuts, in a way, to being profoundly well-informed. Uncovering surprising facts, practical applications, stuff you can integrate into your life, well, almost immediately.
And what's truly compelling about this material, I think, is how this ancient philosophy, particularly Aristotle's insights, it continues to offer such a robust, such a compelling framework, a framework for understanding and perhaps even more importantly, for achieving what he famously called the good life.
The good life, yeah.
And like you said, this isn't just some academic exercise in abstract thought. It's profoundly practical. It's actionable.
Okay.
So we're going to unpack, 6 core ideas today?
6 core ideas, yeah.
And despite their considerable age, they speak directly to our most pressing modern challenges. Challenges of finding genuine purpose, cultivating balance in this overwhelming world, and ultimately attaining that deep, enduring fulfillment. I think people should prepare to fundamentally rethink how they approach daily life, and maybe even the pursuit of well-being itself.
Okay, I'm ready. Let's dive in. Where do we start? What's the foundation?
The foundation, the absolute cornerstone of Aristotle's entire philosophy, is the pursuit of eudaimonia.
Eudaimonia. Okay, that's not a word we use every day.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
But the concept behind it, utterly central to living a rich life. Aristotle believed the ultimate goal of human life, the sort of highest good for humanity, is eudaimonia.
And how does that translate, roughly?
Well, it's often translated as flourishing or living well, sometimes even human thriving.
Flourishing, I like that. Living well. But isn't that just happiness?
See, that's where a crucial distinction needs to be made. We often confuse eudaimonia with simple happiness, in the modern sense.
Right, like I'm happy because I just ate a great piece of pizza or I got a promotion, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Those are momentary jolts of joy, right?
Sure.
Often tied to external circumstances, sensory experiences. They're nice, they're valuable, sure, but they are transient. They come and go. Aristotle's idea of eudaimonia is so much deeper. It's more profound. It's not just a temporary feeling, not an emotional state that washes over you. It's a deep, sustained sense of living well, a kind of profound fulfillment.
Sustained fulfillment, okay.
And crucially, this fulfillment stems from a life lived fully and virtuously.
Virtuously. Okay, we'll need to unpack that too. But first, this idea of sustained fulfillment versus fleeting happiness. Can you give us an analogy, maybe?
Yeah, think of it this way. Imagine decorating a single room. You slap on some new paint, get some trendy furniture. It gives you that immediate, maybe superficial satisfaction, right?
Sure, feels good for a bit.
Right. But now contrast that with building a sturdy, beautiful, enduring house. Meticulously crafted foundation to roof, room by room, with purpose, quality materials, a clear vision for long-term living.
Okay, I see the difference. One's a quick fix, the other's a long-term project.
Precisely. Decorating the room gives you that quick hit of pleasure.
Yeah.
Building the house, that's the long-term, sustained project that provides lasting shelter, security, and importantly, meaning.
So why is this concept of sustained fulfillment so powerful? Maybe even radical in our world today. Everything seems geared towards quick hits, instant gratification, dopamine.
That analogy of the house is perfect for explaining why. And the why it's so powerful in our world of quick hits is precisely because those dopamine surges, yeah, they're pleasurable, but they leave us in this constant, often exhausting state of seeking.
Always chasing the next thing.
Exactly. Forever chasing the next external stimulus, the next purchase, the next like on social media, rather than cultivating a stable state of being. Eudaimonia, in stark contrast, it cultivates this deep internal wellspring of meaning. It isn't dependent on that external volatile carousel of immediate gratification. It's about building an inner resilience, really, to that relentless pull.
Okay, that makes sense. And you mentioned virtue earlier. How central is that?
It's absolutely central. What's truly fascinating here is Aristotle's emphasis on living virtuously as the undeniable path, maybe even the only path to eudaimonia.
So it's not just about feeling good.
No, not at all. This is the critical distinction. He isn't talking about hedonism or simply feeling good or even just accumulating external rewards like wealth or status. He's talking about being good and doing good.
Being good and doing good. How does that work?
It means cultivating excellent character, making choices that align with reason and virtue, consistently engaging in activities that allow you to express your highest human potential.
Okay. And how does that contrast with, say, modern societal trends?
Well, if we connect this to broader societal trends, we see this pervasive culture where immediate gratification often overrides long-term well-being, right?
Definitely. Everywhere you look.
We're constantly encouraged to seek quick fixes, instant pleasures, external markers of success, things social media validation, material possessions, impressive job titles, you name it. But Aristotle's framework challenges that directly, profoundly. He prompts us to shift our focus from these often superficial, fleeting pursuits to developing robust character and a strong, internalized sense of purpose. It's not about what makes you feel happy for a moment. It's about what makes you be truly fulfilled in a deep, enduring way.
So, practically speaking, how does someone shift focus like that? Away from just pleasure or status in their daily choices? What does that look like?
Okay, good question. So instead of maybe spending hours scrolling endlessly for entertainment, that kind of leaves you feeling empty.
We've all been there.
Right? You might choose consciously to dedicate that time to reading a challenging book that actually expands your understanding, or learning a new skill that contributes to your growth. Or instead of buying the latest trendy item that, let's be honest, loses its appeal within weeks.
Guilty.
Haha, yeah. You might consciously invest in experiences that build character or contribute meaningfully to your community.
Okay, so it's been intentional choices.
Exactly. The essential question, as our source material points out, becomes, is what I'm doing right now helping me grow, contribute, and feel truly fulfilled long term?
That's a powerful question to ask yourself regularly.
It is. And it directly challenges that prevalent habit of superficial goal setting. It encourages much deeper introspection about your entire life direction. It means consciously choosing activities, relationships, ways of spending your time that contribute to your inner architecture, that sturdy house we talked about, rather than just, superficial adornments.
Inner architecture, I like that.
And what's really surprising, or maybe not so surprising, is that modern positive psychology, with its focus on things like flow states and self-actualization.
Yeah, Csikszentmihalyi and Maslow.
Exactly. Over 2,000 years later, they've independently arrived at conclusions remarkably similar to Aristotle's Eudaimonia.
Wow, so it's not just ancient wisdom, it's like a recurring truth about human well-being.
Precisely. It's a principle consistently rediscovered in our contemporary search for genuine well-being.
Okay, that's a fantastic foundation. Eudaimonia, sustained fulfillment through virtue. What's the next core idea we need to understand?
Right. The next concept is one that I think profoundly challenges a lot of our modern assumptions, and it offers an incredibly practical lens for navigating life's complexities. It's the golden mean.
The golden mean. Okay, I've heard of this. Balance, right?
Essentially, yes. Aristotle's core principle here is that virtue, that excellence we talked about, lies in finding the balance between extremes.
Okay.
It's about moderation. Not too much, not too little, but the kind of just right amount for any given situation. People often call it the sweet spot or the optimal point of action and character.
Can you give an example? The source mentioned one.
Yeah, the classic example is courage. Think about courage. It isn't the complete absence of fear, right? That would be foolish. Nor is it a reckless disregard for danger. That's just reckless.
Right.
Courage is the mean, the balance between cowardice, which is a deficiency, too little courage, and recklessness, which is an excess, too much disregard for danger.
Okay, cowardice on one end, recklessness on the other, courage in the middle.
Exactly. Think about a firefighter. You wouldn't want one who's paralyzed by fear and can't enter a burning building that's cowardice.
Oh, good.
But you also wouldn't want one who rushes in blindly without any plan, endangering themselves and others unnecessarily. That's recklessness.
Also no good.
The virtue, courage, is in knowing when and how to act bravely. Balancing prudent caution with decisive action. It's the appropriate response, the mean, in that dangerous situation.
That firefighter example really clarifies the spectrum, but you said it's not just a rigid middle point. So how do we figure out where that mean is in our own lives, especially when our own biases might pull us towards one extreme or the other?
That's the tricky part, and where the wisdom comes in. It's not a mathematical calculation.
Right. So let's explore some other everyday examples. What about something like work-life balance? That feels like a constant struggle for the golden mean.
Absolutely perfect example. On one extreme, you have burnout, working relentlessly, neglecting personal life, health, relationships, just grinding yourself down.
In there.
And on the other extreme, you have, well, slacking off, not putting in enough effort, leading to missed opportunities, underperformance, maybe letting others down.
Yep.
The golden mean here would be something like diligently working, meeting your responsibilities with excellence, but also knowing when to step away, when to rest, when to engage fully in other vital parts of life, family, hobbies, personal well-being. It's a dynamic equilibrium, not a fixed point.
Dynamic equilibrium, okay. What about, say, social media? That feels like a minefield of extremes.
Oh, definitely. One extreme could be complete isolation, right? Cutting yourself off, missing out on potentially valuable connections or information, maybe even developing that fear of missing out, FOMO. The other extreme, constant oversharing, doom scrolling for hours, living your life purely for online validation, leading to anxiety, comparison, superficiality. We see that a lot.
Yeah, we do.
The mean, the virtuous approach would be using it mindfully. For genuine connection, maybe for learning, for sharing appropriately, but crucially, maintaining real-world relationships, privacy, and firm boundaries, not letting it consume you.
Okay. Or even something like healthy eating habits.
Another great one. Gluttony or constant overindulgence on one side. On the other, extreme restriction, obsessive dieting, maybe even malnutrition if taken too far.
Right.
The virtue is a balanced approach, enjoying food in moderation, for health, for sustenance, sure, but also for pleasure, without letting it control you, or, conversely, depriving yourself unnecessarily.
So how do we identify the sweet spot? You said it's not just the literal middle. How do we find what's appropriate?
That's the crucial distinction, you're right. The sweet spot isn't static, and it's definitely not some rigid mathematical midpoint that applies universally to every single person in every situation. That's a common misunderstanding.
Okay.
Instead, think of it as a dynamic balance that requires astute judgment, real practical wisdom, and a deep understanding of the specific context.
Context is key.
Absolutely. It's about finding what is appropriate for you in that particular moment, given your unique circumstances, your personality, your tendencies. This inherently encourages critical thinking about your own natural inclinations.
It's just self-awareness.
Huge part of it. Do you, for instance, naturally lean towards one extreme? Are you maybe overly generous to the point where you neglect your own needs? Or are you perhaps a bit too stingy, overly focused on accumulation?
Good questions to ask.
Or are you overly cautious and hesitant in decisions? Or maybe too impulsive, prone to rash choices without thinking things through? An awareness of these personal extremes is absolutely key to finding your own mean in different areas of life.
So it's personalized.
Very much so. Aristotle argued the mean isn't always strictly in the middle. For someone who's naturally very timid, for example, taking what seems like a small step of courage might feel terrifying, almost reckless to them. But it might actually be the appropriate amount of bravery for them in that specific moment to move towards the mean. It's like a dynamic, personalized calibration, not a one-size-fits-all midpoint.
Okay, that makes more sense. It's about appropriate action for the person and situation.
Exactly. And recognizing these extremes, whether it's in areas like discipline, where relentless rigidity can lead to burnout and inflexibility,
Right.
while utter complacency leads to stagnation and missed opportunities,
Yeah.
or an ambition, where ruthless, cutthroat competition can destroy relationships and compromise your integrity, while total apathy prevents any meaningful growth or contribution. Recognizing those poles helps you steer towards more virtuous and ultimately more sustainable behavior.
Sustainable is a good word there.
It is. Discipline in the golden mean isn't about being rigidly self-denying all the time. It's about consistent, purposeful action. It's finding that optimal balance between being a total slave to impulse and being so restrictive that you stifle creativity and joy.
Okay, but this raises a really important question then. How do you cultivate that self-awareness? How do you get good at identifying your own extremes and consistently hitting that dynamic mean? It sounds hard.
It is hard. It takes practice. It's often through consistent self-reflection.
Yeah.
Really thinking about your actions and their consequences.
Okay.
Seeking honest feedback maybe from trusted friends, mentors, people who know you well and aren't afraid to tell you the truth.
That takes courage, too.
It does. And diligently paying close attention to the actual outcomes of your actions.
Yeah.
If your extreme tendencies, whichever way they lean, consistently lead to negative consequences or just that feeling of imbalance, that's a clear, persistent signal. It's feedback telling you to seek the mean, to adjust your course.
So it's a process.
Absolutely. It's not a destination you just arrive at and stay. It's a continuous process of calibration. Like a sailor constantly adjusting the sails to find the optimal balance against the changing winds to reach their destination efficiently. It requires active, ongoing engagement with your own character.
Constant calibration. I like that. Okay, eudaimonia, golden mean. What's the third core insight?
This next one feels incredibly relevant to personal growth, especially today. It's Aristotle's powerful belief that you become virtuous by doing virtuous acts.
Okay. You become virtuous by doing virtuous acts. It sounds almost simple. Deceptively simple, maybe.
It does, but the implication is profound. What he's saying is that moral character isn't just about what you believe in your heart or what your good intentions are. It's fundamentally about what you repeatedly do.
Your actions.
Your actions, day in, day out. The small, consistent choices that accumulate over time, that's what shapes who you are.
Okay, let's unpack the implications there. Character built through consistency, not just intent. That's huge.
It is huge. Think about it. We all know someone who says they want to be healthier, fitter, right? But they never actually put on their running shoes. They never exercise consistently.
Sure, or someone who intends to be more organized, more productive, but their desk is always a disaster zone, and deadlines keep getting missed.
Exactly. Aristotle would look at that and say, quite unequivocally, your true character, the person you actually are, is revealed not primarily in your desires or your beliefs, but in your habits. Your actions speak louder than your words, sometimes even louder than your thoughts.
Wow. So intentions aren't enough?
Intentions are a starting point, maybe, but they don't build character alone.
Can you give another analogy, like the house one earlier?
Yeah, think about training for a marathon or learning a really complex musical instrument like the violin.
Okay.
You don't become a marathon runner by just intending to run or by reading every book about running technique. You become one by putting on your shoes day after day and running, consistently pushing your limits, building endurance.
Right, the actual doing.
Or the violinist. You don't become a virtuoso by wanting to play beautifully or dreaming of performing in concert halls. You become one by sitting down with the instrument and practicing. Scales, exercises, difficult pieces. Consistently, for hours, days, weeks, years.
The daily grind.
It's the daily, often mundane, sometimes tedious practice that counts. That's what literally builds the muscle memory, the skill, the capability. And Aristotle argues the same applies to virtue.
So how does this challenge that common idea that moral character is just inherent? Like you're either born a good person or you're not, or it's a fixed quality?
It completely challenges it. What's fascinating here is how this concept directly counters that kind of passive morality.
Yep.
It vehemently rejects the notion that being a good person is simply a state of being you possess, or just a matter of having good intentions, or even just following a set of rules passively.
Okay.
Instead, it highlights that virtue is an active, ongoing process. It's a continuous doing. It's about performing virtuous acts until they become second nature, until they literally shape your very being, becoming an indelible part of your identity.
Yeah.
You become honest by acting honestly repeatedly.
And become patient by acting patiently.
Exactly. The source material mentions building routines that reflect the person you aspire to become, and making small, consistent actions the foundation for long-term transformation.
Right, right. Small, consistent actions. Let's elaborate on that. What do those look like in everyday life? Using the virtues the source mentioned. Honesty, kindness, patience.
Okay, let's break them down. Honesty. It isn't just about avoiding the big catastrophic lies.
Right.
It's about speaking truthfully in small conversations, day to day, admitting minor mistakes instead of covering them up, being transparent even when it might be a little uncomfortable, upholding your word in every small promise you make.
Those small things add up.
They really do.
Yeah.
What about kindness? It's not just about grand gestures like donating huge sums of money, although that can be kind too.
Sure.
It's more often about holding a door for someone, offering a genuine, specific compliment, listening attentively without interrupting when someone is talking, offering a small bit of help without even being asked. those little daily acts.
Okay. And patience, that's a tough one for many people.
Definitely. Patience isn't just about, enduring long waits in line without complaining loudly.
Right.
It's more about pausing before reacting in anger when you feel frustrated. Giving someone the benefit of the doubt instead of jumping to conclusions. Persisting through a difficult or tedious task without demanding an immediate reward or giving up.
So it's about conscious effort in those moments.
Conscious effort that, over time, becomes less effortful. When you consciously integrate these virtues into your daily routines, even in ways that seem insignificant at the time, they begin to compound. Like interest in a bank account.
Compounding virtue.
Exactly. And interestingly, this lines up perfectly with modern neuroscience. The concept of neuroplasticity tells us that our brains change based on our experiences and behaviors.
Right. The pathways get stronger with use.
Precisely. Repeated behaviors, whether they're good or bad, literally strengthen specific neural pathways. This makes those actions and the thoughts and feelings associated with them easier and more automatic over time. It's like you're paving a superhighway in your brain for a certain type of behavior.
So you're literally rewiring yourself to be more virtuous through action.
That's the idea. And this leads to significant long-term transformation in your character, in your overall life.
Yep.
It doesn't just make you feel more virtuous, it helps you actually be more virtuous, making it an integral, almost effortless part of who you are. The cumulative power of these small, consistent, virtuous acts is truly astounding.
Wow. Okay, that's incredibly practical. Act your way into becoming the person you want to be. Makes sense. What's number 4?
Number 4 is another fascinating concept, one Aristotle called phronesis. It's usually translated as practical wisdom.
Practical wisdom. Okay, distinct from regular wisdom.
Yes, very distinct from just accumulating theoretical knowledge,
Yeah.
or what we might casually call book smarts. Yeah. Phronesis isn't about collecting facts or data. It's about something far more valuable, far more dynamic in the real world.
Which is?
It's about knowing how to apply that knowledge wisely. In real life, specific, often messy situations, that's the crucial living difference. It's know-how, not just know what.
Okay, so it's applied knowledge.
Applied knowledge, coupled with sound judgment in context. For example, you could read every single book ever written on human psychology, memorize every theory.
Right.
But that doesn't automatically make you an emotionally intelligent leader who can navigate a tricky team dynamic, or an effective therapist who knows exactly the right thing to say to a client in distress.
Makes sense. Or you could study engineering principles.
Exactly. Study every formula, every structural principle. But that doesn't automatically make you a brilliant engineer who can solve novel, unforeseen problems that pop up on a complex construction site where theory suddenly meets messy reality. Phronesis is what bridges that gap.
That gap between theory and practice. Okay. Let's use a more tangible example, maybe the one from the source about building a chair.
Yeah, that's a great one. In theory, you might know everything about chair construction. Dimensions, wood types, joinery techniques, dovetail, mortise and tenon, the tools needed, the step-by-step instructions. You could ace a written exam on it.
Got the theory down cold.
Right. But then you actually go to build it. And inevitably, you hit unexpected challenges, right? Yeah. The wood might split in a way you didn't anticipate. A screw strips. Your measurements are off by a tiny fraction, but it matters. A tool isn't quite sharp enough and behaves differently.
Yeah, reality bites.
Practical wisdom, phronesis, is what guides you through those unforeseen circumstances. It's the ability to adapt on the fly, to problem solve creatively, to make sound judgments when the instruction manual doesn't quite cover the situation.
Yeah.
And still end up producing a functional, maybe even beautiful chair.
Okay, so it's about dealing with the unexpected, the specific. How do you cultivate that? The source mentions learning from experience. How do you actively learn from experience, not just passively have experiences?
That's key. It's not automatic. It means engaging in deep reflection. After an action or a situation, you consciously think about what happened, why it happened, what worked, what didn't, and what you could do differently next time. It means learning from your mistakes, which requires humility, and also learning from the mistakes and successes of others you observe, and then consciously trying to apply those internalized lessons to new, similar situations. It's about creating a continuous feedback loop between action and reflection, rather than just moving on to the next thing without extracting the wisdom.
Action, reflection, adaptation. Okay.
And this raises an important point, because phronesis is arguably that crucial link we need between ethical theory, knowing what's good, and practical action, actually doing what's good in complex situations.
The link between knowing and doing?
Precisely. It's the virtue that allows you to exercise good judgment in ambiguous real-world scenarios. especially when the right answer isn't clear-cut, which, let's be honest, is most of the time in human life.
Yeah, life is rarely black and white.
Exactly. It's not about rigidly following a rule book or a checklist. It's about discerning the best, most appropriate, most virtuous course of action, given all the complex, often conflicting variables at play in that specific moment.
Discernment, that sounds like more than just common sense.
Oh, it is. Think of it less as common sense and more as a highly developed form of situational awareness combined with moral intelligence. It's precisely why sometimes a brilliant academic scholar, loaded with theoretical knowledge, might struggle profoundly in a complex social negotiation.
Right.
While someone with maybe less formal education but great phronesis, great practical wisdom, excels. They navigate the subtleties with grace and effectiveness because they can read the situation and the people involved.
Okay. The source also mentioned emotional intelligence as part of this. How does that fit in?
It fits in perfectly. How does understanding emotions, both your own and those of others, directly influence the wisdom of your decisions? Well, think about it. If you can accurately perceive that someone you're dealing with is reacting out of fear or insecurity rather than genuine malice,
Your response would be different.
entirely different. Your wise response would be more empathetic, more targeted, and ultimately more effective in achieving a good outcome. If you can regulate your own anger or frustration in a tense moment, you'll be far more likely to make rational, long-term beneficial choices instead of impulsive, regrettable ones.
So emotional intelligence informs the judgment.
Deeply. It allows you to navigate the crucial human element in decision-making, which is often the most unpredictable and yet the most impactful factor.
And what about that discernment aspect, especially with people? You mentioned rules falling short.
Yeah, this is where phronesis really shines. Textbook rules often fall glaringly short in real human interaction. A simplistic rule might say, always be honest.
Seems reasonable.
But practical wisdom, phronesis, might tell you that blunt, unvarnished honesty in certain highly sensitive situations could actually be needlessly cruel. It could damage your relationship irreparably or be counterproductive to achieving a larger, more virtuous goal.
So it requires nuance.
Exactly. It requires a more empathetic or nuanced approach. This doesn't mean being dishonest, but rather employing tact, sensitivity, and the discernment to know how and when and to whom to communicate difficult truths for the best overall outcome.
Okay. And this isn't something you just get with age.
Not necessarily. Age can bring experience, but phronesis isn't guaranteed by simply accumulating years. It's a skill that actively grows with conscious reflection, deliberate practice, and a genuine willingness to learn from every interaction, every success, every failure. It requires observing the intricate consequences of actions, understanding the nuances of human nature, and constantly refining your judgment through lived experience. It's an ongoing, lifelong pursuit.
Lifelong pursuit of practical wisdom. Got it. Okay, that leads us nicely into the fifth concept. What's next?
The fifth one gets really personal, potentially deeply resonant for many people listening. It's the concept of telos, purpose.
Telos. Purpose. Okay, tell me more.
Aristotle believed that everything in the universe has an inherent purpose or end goal. It's telos. Think of it as its ultimate function or reason for being.
Okay. Like
a seed's telos is to grow into a mature tree. A nice telos is to cut effectively and precisely. It's what it's for.
Got it. Its function, its end.
Right. And this deep, fundamental concept, Aristotle argued, applies to you as an individual as well. Each person has a telos.
A personal purpose or end goal.
Exactly. And as our source material beautifully puts it, understanding your telos is crucial because it helps you align your actions with your deeper calling. It gives direction and meaning to your existence.
Okay, but how? How does one even begin to discover their personal telos, especially in a world that often pushes external scripts on us? Follow this career path, achieve these status symbols,
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Is it something innate, like a predetermined destiny we just have to uncover, like an archaeologist finding an artifact? Or is it something we actively build, craft, and define for ourselves throughout our lives? A kind of living, breathing project of self-creation, maybe informed by our unique talents and values. It's probably a bit of both.
It feels important because you see so many people today who, even if they achieve what society calls success, good job, nice house, all the stuff, they still report feeling this profound sense of disconnect, emptiness, aimlessness sometimes.
Exactly. They might be incredibly busy, constantly doing things, but they lack that deep sense of meaning. And this often arises precisely when their daily actions, their career, their choices aren't aligned with a deeper overarching purpose, their telos.
They're like that ship you mentioned earlier.
Yes. like a magnificently engineered ship, capable of great things, but sailing without a charted destination.
Yeah.
Just drifting with the currents of external demands, feeling lost despite all its capabilities.
So understanding your telos counters that drift.
It does. This idea challenges us to move beyond simply doing things, however efficiently, to rigorously understanding why we are doing them. It encourages finding that intrinsic motivation, that internal guiding star.
What's fascinating here, thinking about Aristotle's view, you said he believed things are best understood by their ultimate purpose.
Yes. His teleological view suggests that understanding the final cause, the purpose, the telos, is key to understanding anything fully, rather than just its material makeup or immediate function.
So for humans, what does that imply?
It implies there's a specific kind of human excellence or function. What are we as humans uniquely capable of? What is our highest calling? And how can we best actualize that potential? It's not just about what you can do, but what you should do, ideally, to live your most fulfilled, most excellent, most truly human life.
Wow. Okay. And the power of aligning your actions with that telos.
It's immense, almost transformational, really.
Yep.
Think about what happens to your own productivity, your motivation, your resilience when you face challenges, your overall sense of well-being. When there's a clear, internalized sense of why you're doing something.
It changes everything.
It really does. When you understand your deeper purpose, your telos, your career choices, hopefully become more than just a paycheck. They become avenues for meaningful contribution, for personal growth, for self-expression. Your relationships can become more than just casual social interactions. They can transform into sources of profound mutual growth, support, maybe even a shared journey towards a greater good.
Mm.
And your personal goals shift. They move from being just superficial desires, maybe imposed by society, into meaningful, deliberate steps on a path towards your authentic, flourishing self, your true telos.
Okay. The source suggested asking specific questions like, what is my purpose?
Yeah.
And what is this action leading toward? How do those help practically?
They aren't just abstract philosophical musings. They can serve as an invaluable internal compass for navigating our complex modern lives.
A compass, yeah.
And in an era where choices feel almost infinite, opportunities can be overwhelming, and distractions are absolutely endless. These questions provide crucial clarity and focus.
How so?
They help you consciously say no to things, opportunities, demands, distractions that don't align with your deeper direction. And they help you enthusiastically say yes to the things that truly propel you forward on your unique path towards fulfilling your purpose.
So it helps prioritize.
Deeply. This framework profoundly emphasizes intrinsic motivation doing things because they genuinely resonate with your core purpose and values over just chasing the fleeting allure of external rewards like money or status. Those external things might be necessary sometimes, sure, but they rarely provide that sustained, deep fulfillment that comes from living purposefully. It helps you build a life that is not just busy, but truly deeply meaningful and directed.
Building a meaningful, directed life. That feels like a good segue to the final point. What's the sixth core idea?
The final one, number 6, is something Aristotle valued immensely, almost as highly as individual virtue itself. And it's friendship and community.
Friendship and community. Okay, that feels very relevant today, too, with discussions around loneliness and connection.
Hugely relevant. He considered them absolutely essential for a good life, for achieving that eudaimonia we started with. He fundamentally argued that human flourishing cannot happen in isolation.
Cannot happen in isolation. That's a strong statement against radical individualism.
It is. He even identified different kinds of friendships based on utility or pleasure, which we can touch on, but he championed the highest form of friendship as that based on mutual goodness and shared virtue.
Mutual goodness and shared virtue. Okay, unpack that. What does that actually mean in a friendship?
It means it's not just a casual connection or a relationship based on convenience or fun, although it can include those things. It's a profound character-building bond.
Okay. So how is it different from those other types you mentioned? Utility and pleasure.
Right. A friendship based on utility is where someone is primarily your friend because of what they can do for you or what you could do for them. Like a valuable business contact, maybe, or the neighbor who helps you move heavy furniture. It's useful, but potentially temporary.
Okay, transactional.
Somewhat, yes. Then there are friendships based on pleasure. These are fun, enjoyable, but often can be superficial. Think of a drinking buddy, or someone you just enjoy gossiping with or playing a sport with. The connection lasts as long as the shared pleasure does, but you might not share deeper values or challenge each other intellectually or be committed to each other's personal growth.
Right. Fun, but maybe not deep.
Exactly. Aristotle's ideal friendship, the virtuous friendship, is different. It's where you genuinely admire and actively encourage each other's virtuous character. You see the good in the other person and want to help them cultivate it.
So you help each other become better people.
Precisely. It's a relationship where both individuals are committed not only to their own ethical development, but also actively support and even delight in that development in their friend. It's about two individuals walking together side by side on that path towards eudaimonia, sharing the journey, holding each other accountable in a supportive way.
Wow, that sounds like a rare and valuable kind of friendship.
It likely is rare and certainly valuable. And why did he place such an incredibly high value, not just on these friendships, but on community as essential for a good life?
Yeah, why community? Especially when modern culture often pushes individualism, self-reliance?
Well, Aristotle, observing human nature keenly, believed we are fundamentally social beings. Political animals was his famous phrase, zoon politikon, meaning we naturally live in communities, in a polis or city-state.
Right.
And he argued that true, deep flourishing simply cannot happen in isolation. We need others, not just for practical support, like help when we're sick, but for shared purpose, for moral accountability, seeing virtue lived out by others, and for the sheer joy and richness of shared existence in communal life.
So community provides the context for virtue to be practiced and flourish.
Absolutely. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it becomes abundantly clear that humans are, as Aristotle argued, fundamentally social creatures. Genuine flourishing, eudaimonia, it just can't happen locked away from others, as much as our modern culture sometimes seems to promote that ideal of the rugged individual. We truly thrive when we are part of something larger than ourselves, when we contribute to and are supported by a vibrant, interconnected community.
Okay, so contrasting his view of virtuous friendship with maybe more common modern relationships.
Yeah, think about how many modern connections can feel transactional, based on convenience or fleeting common interests, like sharing a meme online, or even just superficial social media metrics like follower counts.
Right.
The mutual goodness and shared virtue Aristotle described is a much rarer, deeper, and frankly more demanding kind of bond. It requires effort, commitment, vulnerability, but it's also infinitely more rewarding.
And how does investing in those kinds of relationships contribute to eudaimonia?
Directly. Because these true friends, these virtuous friends, they act almost like moral compasses for us. They challenge us, gently or firmly, to be better. They celebrate our genuine successes, especially our moral ones. They support us through failures, particularly in our pursuit of virtue.
They reflect our best selves back to us.
Exactly. And they actively help us actualize that best self. They hold us accountable in a loving way to our own highest ideals. They make the path easier, or at least less lonely.
Okay. And the broader point about prioritizing community and belonging. In today's world, that feels like a call to action.
It really does. The implications of prioritizing community and belonging in our increasingly individualized, sometimes fragmented society are profound. We live in a world where loneliness is paradoxically skyrocketing, despite constant digital connection.
Yeah, it's a strange paradox.
Aristotle reminds us of that fundamental human need for genuine belonging, for shared purpose, for real mutual support. It's baked into our nature.
So what practical steps can someone take? If they're feeling disconnected, how can they build or strengthen their community ties today?
It doesn't have to be monumental. It could be as simple as joining a local volunteer group that aligns with your values. Doing good together builds bonds. Actively participating in a hobby club, something you enjoy where you meet people with shared interests. Even just regularly checking in on your neighbors, building those small local ties. Or consciously dedicating intentional, consistent time to deepening existing friendships beyond just superficial interactions, having real conversations, being present.
It's intentional effort again.
It always comes back to that, doesn't it? It highlights the undeniable interconnectedness of individual well-being and the health of the social fabric around us. Aristotle suggests that your personal flourishing is inextricably linked to the health and vitality of your communities. It's about intentionally cultivating bonds that nourish your soul, challenge you to live more virtuously, and ultimately help you live a more fulfilled life together.
Together. That's a powerful note to end on for the core ideas. Okay, let's try and synthesize this. We've covered a lot.
We have a whirlwind tour through 2,000 years of wisdom.
Absolutely. So we've covered this profound ancient guide to flourishing today. It really holds up. We explored eudaimonia, that deep, sustained purpose and fulfillment, not just chasing fleeting pleasure.
Right. Living well through virtue.
Then the golden mean, that nuanced art of finding balance, the appropriate action between extremes in everything you do, feel, and decide.
Not too much, not too little. Context is key.
Then virtue through habit, the really powerful idea that your character isn't fixed, it's forged. Built through consistent, repeated virtuous actions, however small they seem.
You become good by doing good. Repeatedly.
Then practical wisdom, phronesis, moving beyond book smarts to applied judgment, especially in complex, messy human situations, knowing how to act wisely.
Experience, reflection, emotional intelligence.
Then telos, the critical importance of understanding your why, your ultimate purpose, to align your actions and live an authentic, directed life.
Finding your unique contribution.
And finally, the vital importance of friendship and community, emphasizing building those deep, uplifting, virtuous relationships and fostering genuine belonging, because we can't truly flourish alone.
Exactly. We need each other.
So what does all this mean for you listening right now? I think it means that this wisdom from over 2 millennia ago, it isn't just dusty history for academics. It's a living, breathing, profoundly relevant guide. A guide to navigating the complexities, the challenges, the opportunities of our hyper-modern lives. It offers a kind of blueprint, doesn't it, for building a life of substance, meaning, and genuine well-being.
It really does. And I think this deep dive into Aristotle reminds us very powerfully that the good life, the eudaimonia, it isn't found primarily in external achievements alone or in the endless accumulation of things.
No.
It's found in the internal cultivation of character, of wisdom, and of meaningful connections with others. So maybe a provocative thought to leave people with.
Please.
As you reflect on these 6 powerful Aristotelian pillars we've discussed, eudaimonia, golden mean, habit, phronesis, telos, community, consider which one resonates most deeply with you right now in your current stage of life, with your current challenges.
Just pick one.
Just pick one for now. Maybe it's reflecting more deeply on your telos before making that next big career decision. Or perhaps consciously trying to seek the golden mean in a specific daily habit, like your social media use or your work ethic. Or maybe committing to performing just one small, consistent, virtuous act, an act of kindness or honesty or patience each day this week.
Start small. Be consistent.
Exactly. Because that's the real path to flourishing, Aristotle would argue. A path laid out by a philosopher thousands of years ago, but perfectly suited, perfectly adaptable for the here and now. The true power of this ancient wisdom lies not just in its age, but in its timeless, practical applicability to your life, starting today.
Start today. That's a fantastic closing thought. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Aristotle's Guide to Flourishing today.
My pleasure.
We sincerely hope this exploration has given you some profound new perspectives to chew on, and maybe some truly practical ways to enhance your own journey toward living well.